So it was 1974, and a bunch of us got together, and we decided that we were going to buy some land in Tennessee, and so we did. 75 of us pitched up some money, and we bought 165 acres, and coincidentally that's still there, still people living on it 37 years later, 38 years later. Anyway, the story goes it was a very idealistic time, very different than it is now. And Watergate was happening, the Vietnam War was coming to an end, and so we put our energy in a different direction. Like I say, it was very idealistic, and so I wrote this song. I used to lie beside a fire in a canyon on a hill. I used to cry out from a mountain, Lord, they loved you, they do still. Lord, my mind is so fertile, make a garden out of me. Take my soul up to heaven, but my mind must be set free. Every time I look out my window, I see a forest growing around me, and I know that when I get older, this is where I'm gonna be, upon a hillside overlooking our valley, where the garden greets the trees. Take my soul up to heaven, but this is where my body will be. So actually there are two people buried on the land right now, and so the story goes that it was very idealistic, and so I moved there with my wife, and we had a kid there, and the whole idea was to live in peace and happiness and share a life together and get high. And so the reality was that it was a lot of work. I've never worked harder in my life than I did when I was on that farm, and the stress and the pressure of life became unbearable. I mean, we didn't have electricity, running water. We had to chop firewood, we had to haul water, we had to do the kerosene lamps. It was a very difficult time. And so people cracked, and there was a guy there named Al who went insane. And I'm telling this story very shortly because I've only got 7 minutes, and it's about a 20-minute story, but needless to say what happened was Al went insane and was hurting himself, and I was asked to be with him and make sure everything was okay. And so Al was talking about going home to his parents, and but he couldn't. He couldn't give up the dream of living on this land with other people. And so he was caught in this trap about having to leave, but not being able to leave. And so I was with him, and he started up the hill to his shack. We lived in shacks. And he got to the bottom of the hill that led up to his shack, and down at the end of the road was all the rest of us. We're down at the end of the road kind of waiting to see what was going to happen with Al. And by the way, at this point, this thing had been going on for days. And so we were walking up, and there's a road that goes across, and at the bottom of the path going up to his shack, he stopped, and he looked down the road at the people down at the end of the road, and then he started up, and I took a step to follow him, and he stopped, and he looked, he said, I think I'll go down and see them. And so I stopped, and I turned, and he stopped, and said, no, I'm going to go back up. And I turned to follow him, and he says, are you following me? And I said, Al, I just need to stay with you just to make sure everything's okay. So we went up into the shack. By the way, how am I doing on time?
You got 2 minutes left.
2 minutes, okay, so I'm going to speed talk this, all right? Anyway, we went up into the shack and we're sitting there, and he's sitting there, and this shack has like a bed and a chair and a wooden framed sink, and he's sitting in this chair, and I didn't know what to say. I mean, it's just like the tension is so high, and I just felt so uncomfortable. Finally, I said, Al, I know what you're going through. I had times when I felt crazy too. And he stands up and he walks towards me, and I'm sitting on this bed and he's standing over me, and Al's not as big as I am, but he's pretty big. And he says, the devil, and he spits in my face, and I'm sitting there and he goes, the devil, and he spits in my face again, and I stand up and I said, Al, you gotta stop that. And he goes, he steps back, and he's wearing this blanket. It's like 99 degrees in Tennessee in the summer. And he goes, leave me now. I go, okay. And I walk out and I'm heading down the hill beside the building, and I go, I shouldn't leave him. I mean, nothing's going to happen. I'll just sit at the bottom of below the house. And as I'm walking up, I hear silverware rattle, and what's that? So I walk up and I hear something sounding like a watermelon being cut. So I walk in, and there's Al standing over the sink with his hands like this, and I go, holy shit! And he turns toward me like this, and he goes, the devil! And he comes at me, and if you ever get attacked by a knife, be thankful they come like this, because this way it's hard to stop. But this way, I put my hands up like this, and it went into my hands, and I fell back. The walls were made of plastic, so I fell through the plastic on my back, and he's above me, and I'm seeing this knife coming down at me, and I go, this ain't a movie, Mark. Get that knife up. So I push him up, and blood is spurting out of his chest, and I'm sitting there. Is this too much? Should I stop, by the way? Okay. So I'm pushing him up, and blood is spurting out of his chest, and I'm wrestle his arm down. So I got his arms down there, and he starts twisting his wrist to try and get out of my grip. And I realize he's going to get out of my grip. So I grab the blade of the knife, and you can see the cut there. But anyway, I grabbed the blade of the knife and pushed his hand down, and then it was over. He realized, and I could feel his body just finally relax. The psychosis, whatever he was having at that moment, just relaxed. And I just screamed as loud as I could. And David and Harvey came running up, and they picked him up, and blood is spurting out of his chest. And they're going, what the hell is going on here? So they kind of, he said, I just had this ended. I just had it ended. And they assumed that I had like found him, trying to kill himself, that I'd like grabbed him and saved him, when really I was just trying to save my own life. And so anyway, what happened was our group decided that we were not going to tell the police that he tried to kill me, because we didn't want him to get arrested and hauled off. There's a lot more to this story. Like I say, it's about a 25-minute story, but what ended up is Al did go home, and for all I know, we've lost touch with him. I'm still in touch with my people down in Tennessee, but we lost track of him. But the last we heard is that he had a job and his wife and kid were okay. So that's it.
Nice.